What up? What up? Zamal, Musar. Well, what up? Also my boy Ka, bienvenido. What's going on? I am from my hotel room. It's a little trashy right now, so I won't show you that. But check out the view. This is my view from my room. Downtown and beautiful view. I like that. I like that. And that pool right over there. That lights up at night. That's really nice. The way it lights up. And there's another pool down there. I see people at um down on the 27th floor. There's a pool right there. We have a beautiful pool also. Yeah, beautiful, beautiful pool. Yeah. So just shooting the breeze over here. So let me know. Anybody wants to come through, whatever. So just to recap, concert was magnificent. I try to film the best I can, but soon I want to do multiple cameras. Like I get the audience and through StreamYard, do the multiple cameras and also I could have done it through my iPad, but I was using it to for the master fader for my ear monitor. So that was kind of difficult to use that. But I used my phone to StreamYard. I went through YouTube to Facebook and LinkedIn. Yeah. So right now I'm just waiting. I got a late checkout. It's 11 o'clock right now here in Dallas, Texas. Now I took the walk. People say, "Oh man, enough of that, all that JJFK." Remember, I'm a 60 child, 60 to 70, and we also study that when you deal with doctrine. We study that. One of the first books that I read from the master teacher from Patna Yananin was a book that was written back in 1979, and that was the Revelation of Jesus Christ, and breaking down the revelations and with historical things that happened, and what was happening at the time. One of the stories that Oh wow, that's an empty bottle plate. Nice. One of the stories that Master Teacher spoke about was the story, the whole conspiracy behind the JFK. Who was he? One of the lamb, one of the antichrist that was wounded. He spoke about that in Revelation. Speaks about that, so he tied it in to make a lot of sense. But I've you come to Dallas, there's many stuff to do, but I'm downtown Dallas, so not much. We did a concert at the Arboretum, which is a beautiful botanical gardens. Oh my lord, beautiful place. I didn't get time to walk all the way around, but I did show shots of the big Bay Area, the lake, the Bay Area. And oh man, it's such a beautiful place. Bird, we walk in there, it's like the bird. Oh, it's a beautiful place. And so we did a great concert. It was full. We were the first band. They're gonna do this the Thursday of every month. I think one of the Thursday of every month they're gonna have a band there. And man, this was fantastic. The people was just beautiful, and man, we just had a great time. Gary did his thing. The musicians, we put on a show. It was a great, great show that we put on, and look for more. Which, like I said, as I invest more in some electronic equipment so I can record it really good, nice for to stream it. Because sometimes we travel and people can't make it, so um, and that's how it is. But here, so in Dallas, Texas, I'm and just confined to this area here, downtown area. I'll show it to you again. Just confined to the downtown area, and we're literally like 5 blocks away from the book depository building where according to you know the story is that Lee Harvey Oswald was a lone shooter that got popped JFK. But you could tell by being there and the stories I was told. Also, Oliver Stone did a whole big thing on it. When you tell by the story and you said this adds up, wow, he showed this, he showed, and you said, wait a minute, this is more to it, But right now it's a tourist place, it's a museum. It made it even into a museum. But when I walked, now I did a live. I walked over to the police, the municipal building where they took Lee Harvey Oswald and they held him. They didn't question him much, but they held him there. And when he was walking out that ramp, right? He got popped out Jack Ruby. They don't speak about that. As a matter of fact, there's no monument. There's nothing there. But if you know the story, like when I was looking for the place, I asked one of the guards, the police officers that was working at the courthouse, and he told me, oh, he called his friend. He said, yeah, he's because his friend says a big buff. The people that are really invested in it, the people that are really interested in this, they study the story. For them, it's just it is what it is. And so he pointed out to me where it's at. Not too many people know about it. Even people that live here in the city, I ask people, they're like, they hit that so much because the story, that guy Jack Ruby, who also, worked for the mob. I think he was Jewish, Rubenstein, worked for the mob, and he handled a burlesque, like a strip joint, topless strip joint. And they said Marilyn Monroe even worked there at one time. And so he had this connection with Marilyn Monroe, but he was a gangster. Dallas, Texas, gangsters. Here, Dallas, Texas was a stronghold for some of the gangsters that were coming from Louisiana, New Orleans, and Louisiana, and here in Dallas, Texas. So Ruby was your go-to man when it came to the mob. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know about his involvement with the Texas oil mob, but that was a whole cartel, the Texas oil guy. That's the ones that um what's his name? Lyndon B. Johnson, the one that was a vice president and took over after JFK was assassinated. He had connections with Dallas, Texas. He had big connections with them guys. Them guys are very powerful. Them guys are the one that could have paid because they said that day, November the 22nd, there were people that were saying, man, especially mobsters were saying, yo, that day it was like a hitman convention. They say, oh, that's so. Oh, it was like they knew each other, and it was like a hitman convention out here. They were all out here in the streets. There was a big bounty that was put out, but of course, according to the story, you know, um, it was already planned. In other words, he was ambushed, and you see that spot, perfect place. You look around and you say, man, there's many places you can hide. I said, I don't understand how you can have a motorcade, an open motorcade car coming through an area like that where you know that, wow, the possibilities are immense. If you know anything about, shooting, it's immense. That's the spot. That is the spot to ambush somebody point blank. Um, I don't know, people are not really interested in this because, you know, but yeah, that's the part. Well, salute my brother Harry. So yeah, that was a perfect place to ambush. The story goes, and you see it, man. You see it. You're like, wow, wow. And the stories, and so, since I'm just like 5 blocks away, I said, well, let me do a thing about that. You know what I'm saying? I'm a 60 child, whatever. I'm a 60 child and I'll see it. I'll also show you the architecture. I'm very big on the architecture. Every city that I visit, when I'm playing on tour, music tour, I walk. I walk, I don't run much anymore. I used to run, but now I just walk and I take these long walks and look at the architecture. Man, the architecture is just immense. Look at this wall. And I'm up on the 27th floor. See, that's stone and mortar. Man, the walls here, the slabs, unbelievable, you know? And yeah, it's a little overcast today. But yeah, so I'm downtown, you know what I'm saying? I'm downtown on the 27th floor. And you see, for the story. And then I like to also dig into the hidden story, things that they're not gonna tell you. And the clues here, there, and then I go to the place and I say, oh wow. So the whole story between Jack Ruby, um, Poppin Leon, when it came out, I showed there was two of them, one on each side. So how did Jack Ruby, but the one side that I think it was in the Harwood and Maine side, right, and then right across the street is the Dallas, Texas newspaper, the building, and that's an old building that goes back to the 50s, and that's what Jack Ruby had because he used to do work with them, with the police department and work with the newspaper. He had connection. This is a made man. Not I don't even made an Italian mob, but this was connected guy, and he had access to a lot of, ID badges. He had access to a lot of places, so to get to that municipal building under there where all these reporters and they're gonna bring this guy out there, and Jack Ruby was the guy that ran up to him and bah, got him in the belly, one shot to the belly, and then they all went on him. That's what that happened right there. Not many people know about it. They hide that because the story with Jack Ruby, after they arrested Jack Ruby, and he kept saying, "Yeah, they set me up, man. I had to do it. He had to do it. He's a monster." That contract, he knew it was for him. It was done. He had to do it, and I believe he put a lot of things in order. I don't know if he had kids or anything, but I know he put a lot of things in order. And what happened? He knew this was a suicide mission. You're going into a municipal building, and this guy, shot the president, and they got him, and they escorting him out. Right there, he comes by and bah, got him in the belly. Killed Lee Harvey Oswald, and then they arrested Jack Rubenstein. They arrested him. He did prison time, and mysteriously developed a lot of diseases, cancer, and stuff like that. And so, he died from cancer in the prison after so many years. And they're saying that he was complaining about how they were injecting him with certain diseases, cancerous diseases, and they were ending his life. Like I said, and like I said, that was a setup. That was a suicide mission for him. That's a setup, and they got him. Remember, he was a mobster. So he had to, when the order came through, he had to do it. Hold on 1 second, yo. So yeah, so that story with Jack Ruby, you gotta know, like I'm a big Godfather fan, and Goodfellas, Mob, being brought up in New York City, and actually being around a lot of wise guys, working in the areas and seeing how they did. So that story is one of the famous story of a connected man and doing a suicide mission like that. The guy who shot the president, and they had to cover up a lot of things because it's like, oh, how they gonna do that to the president? Remember that JFK wanted to he wanted to abolish, disassemble the CIA in a lot of agencies because he just didn't like their practices. A lot of stuff was going on. Vietnam, he wanted to stop Vietnam, and the whole Castro situation. Man, there was a lot of things happening at that time for that president. And I think he was doing a great job, whatever. But if he wanted to abolish certain agencies, at the same time, um, the embargo and the mob, because when he started to shut down, also, remember that the mafia, Italian mob, was very well invested in Cuba. So that whole Cuban Missile thing, and they were very invested in Cuba. So a lot of things that Kennedy wanted to shut all of that down because he promised. His father was a mobster back in the day. So I think he ran trucking for the mob. The whole prohibition time. So this father made a lot of money off of that. So the mob, the Italian people were like, man, you made a lot of money with us, and he became very well connected. Kennedy, Joe Kennedy, very well connected with that. So he asked him for a favor. Look, I want my son to be president. He wanted to bring his son in there. Yeah. So so the story is, you know, is that the connection. So the Italian mob said, well, we put men. They got men on foot. They could do the groundwork, the footwork to get this Kennedy elected and stuff like that. And certain target areas, I think Illinois, Chicago, big for the election. Chicago, one of the electoral vote, very big. So they had the connection. Could they put out those footwork workers out there and the boats and stuff, and they knew how to do it. So and they say, well, his brother is going to be attorney general, and a lot of them were being brought up on charges, and so they thought they had a connection. They thought they had favor, but according to the story, is that the Kennedys, especially Robert Kennedy, was a very adamant, took his job very seriously as as district attorney, right? District attorney, the head of that, and he was very, very that. And his brother, oh, John was going to back him up on whatever he wanted to do, and they were really like wanted to clean up the act. So the mob felt that they got betrayed. The oil Texas guys betrayed. The inner working of the government betrayed by this administration. They just got betrayed. That's how they felt. And so the story is that they did something about it. They're like, we made you, we put you there, we made you, we're going to take you back down. We're going to take you down, whatever. So I think it got to the point where they had Marilyn Monroe doing stuff, and giving information because she was tied in also, to Hollywood and tied in with a lot of these, you know, wealthy people. And so it was a whole thing going on, a lot of talk and hearsay, this, that, boom, boom, boom. You know what I'm saying? You know how it stirs the pot up, and they were like, "There's only one way." So when you look at this, you come down here to Dallas, and you look at it, you says, "Man," and then you got all these hitmen, you got a bounty, and then remember that car, the motor car that the president was in, was riddled in bullets. It wasn't just the three bullets. Talk about the mysterious bullet and the one hitting Senator Connolly, I believe it was named, and one hitting the president. There wasn't no bullet. There was bullets hitting. They said they found bullet hitting the front, the chrome thing in the front. The bullets hitting that, the indentations there. This car was riddled. And they took that car. They once had it in display, but they took it. They got rid of that. They didn't want to show that. But this car was riddled in bullets. A lot of bullets in that car. They were like, it wasn't only one gunman could not shoot those amount of bullets. And it wasn't no three bullet. It was a lot of bullets, a good 20 something. But so, when you look at it, I mean, it was like, who gets them? But that kill shot, they said came from that behind that the officers facing and the guy behind. And it makes sense because you don't know who this officer really is, but it makes sense. He's guarding that area. And then you have the story is when they felt the blast, he felt the blast, and you could see it in some of the films when Oliver Stone showed it, the actual film that somebody was filming that to that side. They show a spark coming from behind that fence, and they said that when the cop ran over there with his gun drawn, they seen a man, well dressed man, but with dirty hands. So he was like, "Oh, what's going on?" And he showed him a Secret Service badge. But then when they come later on, they're saying the Secret Service said we had nobody stationed there. I don't know, we had nobody stationed there. So that's another story. You know what I'm saying? So I think that was a kill shot because with the way he showed when they blasted him in his brain from the back, that wasn't no shot that came from out there. Because it's always the exploding bullet. No, you can see the he hit, boom, forward, and then pull, and he's jerked back with another bullet. Well, they said a lot of things. They said the guy driving in the front with the driver, the passenger seat in the front was another guy with a gun, and pop, 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 popped him. I mean, it was just coming from everywhere. I mean, they just not, you know. Some documentary will show it, tell you, but they say, oh, they push it as conspiracy. But it's an interesting story. You know, so especially when you come down to Dallas and you see the areas where these things happen, and then you see how they cover it up. And no one talks about that. Nobody know about this. Nobody know about that. You know, so they're not gonna talk about Jack Ruby. They're gonna the municipal building right across the newspaper. They're not gonna talk about any of that because that, again, it's embarrassing to the city. You know, and this city, I'm telling you, they kept a lot of the buildings, as you can see. Man, these buildings are nostalgia. These buildings are historic buildings. So these guys are heading out. Let me end the stream here. Harry, what's going on? I don't know who else is watching, but listen, I'm just, here in Dallas, Texas, and I figured that, interesting. And also with the doctrine, those who's watching, you see in the doctrine, talk about things like this. So, it's interesting. It's conversational piece, especially when you visit certain cities. You want to get out there because that's a museum now. Um, and you want to see, and relive time, and see things happen. And like I said, I love architecture I like the 30s and 40s or Art Deco because I worked in Radio City Music Hall. I got to see and Rockefeller Center a lot of Art Deco. Beautiful. I'm not too crazy about the 1913, but I like the architecture, the stones on the back. That's beautiful stuff. But the Art Deco, the 30s and 40s definitely is my time. And then the 50s and 60s, the design, more box design. So them that was a futuristic design, more box, metal. And man, I love their architecture. I love it very much. It shows, you know, and they don't do architecture like that anymore. I don't know. No, they really don't, because I see a lot of buildings go up, and I even worked in certain buildings. But definitely, the city is very historic. Um, it's got a nice vibe to it, and it's very, very very mixed area, especially here downtown, very mixed area. And yeah, another beautiful things to do when you're in Dallas, Texas. If you're downtown, then I suggest the museum. I suggest going to the grassy knolls, stuff like that. And if you're more into that, then I suggest going to the municipal building up on Hardwood and Main and seeing where all that, you know, conspiracy could happen. They don't even market anything like that. They keep that hidden. But then you have the AT&T building here. You have a lot of great buildings and a lot of architecture, and also the the what they call the hieroglyphics. The not hieroglyphics. The well, uh, it just leaves my mind right now. But anyway, yeah, great city to visit, man. I really enjoy it. Okay, and soon I'm going to Chicago, and I'm gonna go down there and check out Chicago. Chicago again, a lot of areas, Al Capone areas, and a lot of things that happen in Chicago. Very, very, very interesting. You know, so you got to be into again, the people that are here are into gangster movies, and people are into the whole, like I said, the architecture. I mean, I like the architecture going back in time, especially when you live a few decades, more like 5 decades. Actually 6 decades, but five that you actually experienced because you're old enough to really intake those 5 decades. Woo, man, I'm telling my age. But let me tell you something. It's interesting when you know you read about it and then you actually go visit the place and then you oh wow and you connect with it. It becomes a reality. We can read about a lot of things, but until we actually experiment, experience it, it doesn't really just really exist as an idea and concept. But when you actually walk through it, man, It's interesting. Like I'm telling you, I can't wait to go to Africa, Timbuktu, to Mali, Timbuktu, because right now it's an idea in concept that exists as ideas in concept. Tito for president, you crazy. So the ideas in concept, but when you actually there and you experience it, like Kemet, like I want to go to Giza, the pyramids in Sudan, because when you actually live it, wow. I mean, you experience it. You really, really experience it. It just you're balanced. Now you're balanced. Your emotions, your actually touch it. It just becomes a reality to you. Anyway, with all that, all investors, yeah, Harry, vote for me for president. I'm going for but damn, I don't know, man. I don't know the way things are going right now with these presidents. Man, no, you got to be of a whole different class. You see, Obama was a special class. Even though Obama had his thing about him, oh yeah, he did what they told him, and he had his thing about him. But these presidents right now, oof, they're a piece of work. A piece of work. I can't go into politics and stuff like that. Only if it's a municipal, if it's councilman or something like that, and you want to work with your community and you have a set of community and businesses there. So, then that's something considered in the future, local. But as far as in the state or no, now nation wise and tribal and nation, yeah. I sat as an ambassador for the Empress of Sheba, Sabah, over there in Africa, in the Congo, Ndombe. But I was here in America, so I was in the ambassador training with the United Nations, all that. So I have that under my belt. Um, I'm not doing too much work with that. I kind of like step back from that. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know what I need to tie in other things in my life with that. I wanted to get my diplomatic passport to go places and stuff like that, but I really don't need it. I got my regular passport, my blue, not an international passport. That works pretty well. But diplomatic passport would be good. I like the idea of tribal councils and getting tribal because it all starts with you, then your family, then your community. Once you got a community base, and then you go tribal. That's a whole thing. You know what I'm saying? And just very short thing. People going into the Yamasi tribe and all that. Yeah, those those tribes are in existence. There's on record, right? And now this is the thing. It needs to be again solidified. You can do all the paperwork and everything, but now you need the culture. You don't need the land really, because there's a lot of tribes that have been displaced from their land. But it's a matter of fact of getting back land and living as a community. It's hard when you do your paperwork and you don't live it, but we live apart from each other. We're not community based. And that could be a little danger too, because you don't want to all put your eggs all in one basket and be in a certain location. If you want to think like that, oh man, you become a target. But again, it's interesting when you start, you need a central base. Then you need to train ambassadors, because these ambassadors are your envoy, your group, your envoy that goes out and represent your queendom or kingdom or your tribe. They go out to represent, and what they do is fact finding missions, ambassadors, and the alliance, the relationship with protocol for certain other tribes. You have to have that. You can't, just separate. But part of separating yourself, you have to also learn. See, and I spoke about that. Your ancestral pattern, your genetic blueprint. Once you got that, you have to be careful because it can cause the cast of separatism. That energy of separatism. Yeah, politicians full of caca. That's right, Harry. So, you know, as far as that tribal thing is concerned, you could separate yourself. It casts that shadow of separatism, racism. You don't want to do that, or you have to balance it. So you can separate yourself, but at the same time, when you got ambassadors that go out to form relationships and protocol relationships with other tribes, represents you. Those are your ambassadors. Those are your envoy. Those are the ones that are going to represent you. A well train ambassadors who represent your tribe, your tribe properly, and they know the protocols to the level of the United Nations, to the local level, to other tribal council. Your ambassadors are there. They're the one that the ambassadors deal with ambassadors. They're the one that set the mood. You know what I'm saying? So when you don't have that, that seems to be a problem. And to be training for an ambassador, you need well quality people that clean records. And so because you're dealing with other nations and other tribes, and they're gonna do fact finding. They're gonna look up your name. They're gonna find out, well, what characters, what characters do you have? So I ran into problem when it came to ambassadors, and I wanted to be ambassador. Not problems within the Taino Confederation of Taino, no problem there. But when it came to the Sabiic, worldwide Sabians and stuff like that, and certain people that were invested in that type of talk and that type of vein, they had a lot of stains in the characters, taint stains in their character, and that's difficult when you deal on a national level because they're gonna point that out. They're gonna bring it out, and they're gonna be like, "How can you be trusted when you have this and this and that?" And I'm not saying people cannot change. People can change. You could have been arrested for this and that, and you changed and taught you a lesson. But this is something that comes up when you deal on those levels, ambassador level, and constantly. And I saw that the people or persons that was invested in that was creating certain scenarios and certain things that put them stain his character, put him in a very bad position. So when you have other nations, they judge you on that. Oh, but wait a minute, you know, well, this is your ambassador. This ain't going for these charges. And then he was found. They tell you, what kind of people are you? What kind of tribe are you? You know what I'm saying? So that's that's very difficult. So I ran into a little problem. You know what I'm saying? But I'm still, it's still there under my belt. I still have that training. There's certain protocols, etiquette and protocols, morals and ethics that need to be applied when dealing with ambassadorship and dealing with representing your tribe. You know what I'm saying? So that's a whole different thing. So I can go to that level and whatever. But other than that, I'm just your brother. I'm a percussionist first. I'm your brother. You know what I'm saying? And like again, a lot of times with my percussion, if you've seen the way I was dressed, I have my wasek on. You know what I'm saying? And there's always something representing our people that I have, and also the rhythms that I do. I could be playing rock and I'm still playing African rhythm. I could be whatever I'm going to represent who I am. And I'm not all African. I got Iberia Peninsula, which is also African, Andalusia, Taino, and Spanish, So I represent who I am. I can't separate that. I am who I am, what I am. I am who I am. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I speak Spanish, speak English, speak a little tiny bit of Arabic, and Sabi, Mispatia. So yes, and that's who I am. So that's always going to show because I'm authentic. Be who you are. And be authentic. Be who you really are. Don't be afraid of that. To be who you are, but hold it to the highest regard. Hold it to the highest moral and ethic. Be that. And that's the way it is. And to and that's the way I like to roll. I don't care what being said. Or, hey, this is who I am. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that Spanish flavor. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I like flamenco. I like Spain. I like to go to Spain and see what's happening in Spain. And Andalusia. I would love to go to Granada and go to Alhambra. Yes, and see that expression. Yes, that's part of who I am. I love to go to Mali and to Congo and to Benin. I got Benin bloodline. I got Ghana, Benin, Congo, Malata, primarily Mali. And I like to go to these places. That's who I am. You can hear it in my rhythms. I'm going into a lot of flamenco stuff too. You know what I'm saying? With the cajon, that's who I am. Can't hide it. And then my Taino culture. That's who I am. And authentic, be you, be who you are. You know what I'm saying? And you know that I do a lot of the Yoruba, Ifa, and Yoruba expression also, because that's coming from West Africa, from the airway, Akang. I'm not too tied in with that, but that's the Yoruba, Yoruba and the Ifa, and tie that into ancient Kemet because I have that also. The bloodline which flows all the way from the Nile Valley and Bantu. You know what I'm saying? So as I have expressed myself, I can't change that for anybody. No, no, I can't. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, with that being said, all investing, again, let me show you. It's getting where the sun comes in and out. But yeah, I'm here at the 27th floor. Gotta get the checking out about 1 o'clock. It's 11:33 right now over here. But yeah, I'm gonna check out later in a bit. Okay? All investing. Peace.